Humans like to believe we've explored our planet. We've climbed the highest mountains, crossed every continent, mapped coastlines, and planted flags in the most remote corners of the world. But the truth is far more unsettling. Most environments on Earth remain largely untouched. The deep ocean, underground cave systems, polar ice sheets, dense jungles that have never seen a human footprint, and remote mountain regions that defy access. In fact, scientists now estimate that less than 1,000th of the deep ocean floor has ever been visually explored. 1,000th. We've mapped more of Mars and the Moon's surface than we have of our own ocean depths. And here's the disturbing part. Even within that tiny fraction we have explored, researchers are already discovering things they can't fully explain. Anomalies that challenge our understanding of geology, biology, physics, and history itself. So if this is what we're finding in places humans have barely explored, what exists in the rest of the unknown? These are 11 discoveries found in places humans have barely explored, and each one raises uncomfortable questions about how little we truly know about the planet we call home. Let's begin. Discovery number 1, the deep sea structure no one expected. Thousands of meters below the ocean's surface, in a region where sunlight has never penetrated and pressure would crush a human body instantly, sonar scans revealed something extraordinary. A massive, symmetrical structure rising from the sea floor. The discovery happened during a routine ocean floor mapping expedition. Researchers were using multi-beam sonar to create topographical maps of the sea floor when an anomaly appeared in their data. At first, they assumed it was a natural geological formation, perhaps a seamount, an underwater volcano, or an unusual rock outcropping. But further scans showed something impossible to dismiss. Right angles, repeating patterns at regular intervals, layered geometry that extended vertically for hundreds of meters. These are features rarely, if ever, produced by nature at that scale. Geological processes create mountains, ridges, valleys, organic shapes formed by volcanic activity, tectonic movement, erosion. They do not create symmetry. They do not create patterns. The structure's dimensions are enormous. Its base covers an area equivalent to several city blocks. Its surfaces appear smooth in places, rough in others, but consistently organized in ways that suggest design rather than random formation. The region remains inaccessible to traditional submersibles due to extreme depth, pressure, and treacherous underwater currents. Remotely operated vehicles equipped with cameras have been proposed, but the expedition costs run into millions of dollars, and funding remains uncertain. So for now, scientists can only observe it from a distance through sonar imaging and computer models, and debate what they are actually looking at. Some researchers insist it must be natural, citing unusual volcanic activity or mineral deposits that could theoretically create geometric patterns. Others remain silent, unwilling to speculate publicly about alternatives that would invite ridicule from their peers. But the structure is there, real, measurable, and unexplained. Discovery number 2, life forms where life shouldn't exist. In extreme deep-sea environments, where pressure exceeds 1,000 atmospheres, temperatures hover just above freezing, and no sunlight has reached them for millions of years, researchers discovered complex life not just surviving, but thriving. These are not simple bacteria or primitive single-celled organisms clinging to existence in hostile conditions. These are complex, multicellular creatures with specialized organs, nervous systems, and behaviors that suggest sophisticated adaptation to their environment. What makes this discovery truly remarkable is that these organisms survive without oxygen in the traditional sense. They do not rely on photosynthesis, and they do not consume organic material that originated from photosynthetic processes. Instead, they derive energy from chemical reactions involving minerals and compounds seeping from thermal vents in the ocean floor. They exist in a world completely disconnected from the surface ecosystem. No sunlight, no conventional food chain, No energy sources that biologists once thought were necessary prerequisites for complex life. The implications are staggering. If complex life can evolve and thrive in conditions this extreme on Earth, then the requirements for life elsewhere in the universe may be far less restrictive than previously believed. Icy moons with subsurface oceans, Europa orbiting Jupiter and Enceladus orbiting Saturn suddenly become far more likely candidates for harboring life. The discovery forced scientists to reconsider fundamental assumptions about biology, evolution, and the boundaries of habitability. It expanded the definition of where life can exist, not just on Earth, but potentially throughout the cosmos. And it raises another question. What else is living in Earth's unexplored regions that we have not discovered yet? Discovery number 3. A cave system no human had ever entered. Deep beneath a remote mountain region, accessible only through a narrow fissure discovered by accident during a geological survey, explorers uncovered a cave system that had been completely sealed from the outside world for tens of thousands of years. The air inside was stale, unchanged, preserved from an era when the climate above was dramatically different. The temperature remained constant year-round, unaffected by seasonal changes on the surface. And inside, illuminated by the explorers' lights for the first time in millennia, were mineral formations unlike anything documented in geological literature. The formations were not simply unusual in appearance, they were unusual in structure and composition. Crystals growing in spirals, stone formations that appeared to have branched like trees, mineral deposits arranged in concentric circles with no clear geological explanation for their symmetry. Some formations appeared to have grown in patterns that do not align with known geological processes. Minerals typically grow downward due to gravity, outward due to crystallization, or in directions determined by water flow and chemical gradients. These formations defied those patterns. Scientists are still studying how they formed. Chemical analysis has identified the mineral components, but understanding how they arranged themselves into these specific configurations remains a mystery. And there is another puzzle: why this cave remained untouched for so long. The entrance fissure appears to have opened relatively recently due to seismic activity. Before that, the cave was completely isolated, a sealed time capsule from an ancient geological era. What conditions existed when this cave was forming? What processes were at work? And what else might be hidden in sealed cave systems around the world, waiting to be discovered? And these discoveries did not come from decades of deep exploration or massive, well-funded expeditions. They came from brief glimpses into environments we barely understand, quick surveys, accidental discoveries, the edges of our technical capabilities. And the deeper we go, the stranger the discoveries become. Discovery number 4. An object found beneath permanent ice. Under layers of ancient ice in a polar region, ice that has remained frozen for hundreds of thousands of years, researchers using ground-penetrating radar uncovered an object embedded far deeper than any human artifact should exist. The object was discovered during climate research, not archaeology. Scientists were studying ice core samples to understand historical climate patterns when their equipment detected an anomaly, a dense mass that did not match ice, rock, or any natural formation. Its material composition, determined through remote sensing, does not match the surrounding geology. It is not local bedrock. It is not a meteorite. The density and composition are wrong. It is not ice or compressed snow. The depth of the object is what makes it particularly troubling. It sits beneath ice layers that scientists have dated to before the last ice age. For the object to be at that depth, it would have had to be there before the ice formed, which raises a troubling question. What was happening before the ice formed? What existed in this region when it was exposed land, perhaps even temperate land, before glaciation buried it beneath kilometers of ice? While scientists hesitate to draw conclusions without direct examination, and extraction would require expensive, complex drilling operations through unstable ice. One thing is clear. Whatever placed it there predates the current ice sheet. Some researchers have proposed it could be a natural formation moved by ancient glacial activity. Others suggest it might be evidence of a meteorite impact that predates the ice. But these explanations struggle to account for the object's specific location and composition. The object remains buried, unexcavated, monitored by remote instruments, but untouched by human hands. And it waits beneath the ice, holding secrets from an era we are only beginning to understand. Discovery number 5, a lost structure in the jungle. Dense jungle regions such as the Amazon, the Central African rainforests, and the Southeast Asian wilderness hide vast areas that remain unexplored even today. The canopy is so thick that ground-level features are invisible from above. The terrain is treacherous, the climate hostile, and the biodiversity includes countless species that can kill a human in minutes. These are the last true wildernesses on Earth's land surface. Using modern LiDAR scanning technology, laser imaging that penetrates jungle canopy to map ground topology, researchers identified the outline of a large organized structure beneath vegetation in a region where no human settlement was believed to exist. The LiDAR data revealed straight lines extending for hundreds of meters, rectangular formations, central plazas or courtyards, evidence of walls, pathways, and architectural planning. There are no historical records of settlements in this area. No oral traditions from nearby indigenous populations mention ruins or ancient cities in this location. No previous expeditions, colonial surveys, or modern exploration documented anything unusual. Yet the layout revealed by the scans suggests planning, coordination, sustained labor, and long-term occupation by a sophisticated society. The structure is large enough to have housed thousands of people. The organization suggests centralized planning and social hierarchy. The location, now deep in impassable jungle, would have required extensive clearing and constant maintenance against encroaching vegetation. Who built it? What civilization thrived here? And why was it abandoned so completely that even memory of its existence vanished from history? Expeditions to reach the site are being organized, but the jungle makes access nearly impossible. Helicopters cannot land safely. Ground travel would take weeks through terrain that has killed experienced explorers. For now, the structure remains hidden beneath the jungle, visible only to scanning technology, waiting to reveal its secrets. Discovery number 6, unexplained signals from the ocean floor. In a remote section of the ocean, far from shipping lanes and military installations, monitoring equipment deployed to study seismic activity recorded something unexpected, repeating low-frequency signals. The signals were not seismic. Earthquakes produce irregular, chaotic waveforms. These were regular, rhythmic, consistent. They were not mechanical. The frequency and pattern did not match any known human technology, such as ship engines, submarines, industrial equipment, or underwater construction. They were not biological. Whale songs, dolphin clicks, and other marine animal communications have distinct characteristics. These signals were different, lower frequency, more regular, and lacking the complexity of biological communication. The signals appear to originate from a fixed location, deep below the seabed, hundreds of meters beneath the ocean floor itself. Not from the water column, not from surface activity, from below the sediment. The source seems extraordinarily deep. Equipment designed to track earthquakes and tectonic movement recorded the signals consistently for weeks before researchers noticed the pattern. When analyzed, the signals showed precise timing, repeating at intervals measured in minutes, with a consistency that natural geological processes rarely produce. So far, no clear explanation exists. Researchers have proposed several theories, including unusual geological activity, trapped gas bubbles resonating in underground chambers, equipment malfunction, or unknown deep-sea creatures. But none of these explanations fully account for the signal's characteristics, its regularity, its fixed location, and its persistence over time. Researchers are cautious about speculating too publicly. Making extraordinary claims about unexplained ocean floor signals without definitive proof invites skepticism and can damage scientific credibility. The monitoring equipment remains in place. The signals continue. Scientists wait for more data, hoping for an answer that makes sense within the bounds of known science. Discovery number 7, a structure too deep to excavate. At a depth far beyond current human excavation capabilities, deep beneath layers of sedimentary rock, seismic imaging and ground-penetrating scans revealed what appears to be a massive layered formation. The discovery happened during mineral exploration surveys. Companies searching for resource deposits use sophisticated scanning technology to map underground geology, looking for signs of valuable mineral veins or oil reserves. During one such survey, the scans revealed an anomaly. The formation shows distinct layers, horizontal stratification that could theoretically be natural sedimentary deposits. But the layers are too uniform. The boundaries are too sharp, and the overall structure is too geometrically regular. It is located beneath sediment that geologists have dated to millions of years old. To excavate it would require drilling through kilometers of solid rock, removing unstable overburden, and managing pressures and temperatures that would destroy conventional drilling equipment. It is too deep to excavate with current technology, and too large to ignore. The formation extends across an area measured in square kilometers. If it is natural, it represents a geological phenomenon that does not appear in standard models of rock formation. Scientists cannot confirm whether it is natural or artificial, and the term artificial carries implications that most researchers refuse to entertain publicly, suggesting that something manufactured could exist beneath millions of years of sediment challenges fundamental timelines of Earth's geological history. All they know with certainty is that it is there. It does not fit existing models, and understanding what it is would require technological capabilities we do not currently possess. So it remains deep beneath the surface, documented in scan data, debated in academic circles, but untouched and unexplained. At this point, scientists can still offer theories. They can propose natural explanations, cite rare but possible geological processes, suggest undiscovered phenomena that might account for anomalies. The next discoveries? They are where those theories begin to fall apart. Discovery number 8, a material that shouldn't survive. In an extreme environment where materials rapidly degrade, intense heat, corrosive chemicals, and radiation break down molecular bonds, researchers found a substance unexpectedly preserved. The discovery occurred in a hostile geological zone where temperatures exceed hundreds of degrees Celsius, and chemical conditions dissolve most known materials within days or weeks. Scientists studying the environment assumed everything present would be volcanic rock, mineral deposits, or recent geological formations. Instead, they found an object, small and seemingly insignificant, but completely preserved. Laboratory analysis showed the object had been exposed to these extreme conditions for an extended period, decades at minimum, possibly much longer. By all laws of chemistry and materials science, it should have degraded, corroded, or transformed into something else entirely. It didn't. The material resisted pressure that should have crushed it. It resisted corrosion from chemicals that dissolve steel. It resisted thermal degradation from heat that melts most metals. It resisted time itself in an environment where time is measured in destruction. No known natural process explains how it remained preserved. Researchers have attempted to recreate the material in laboratories using modern manufacturing techniques, but none have succeeded. The material's structure, composition, and properties can be described, but the process that created it remains unknown. Some scientists believe it represents a naturally occurring material formed under conditions we do not fully understand. Others think it might be evidence of ancient manufacturing techniques that produced materials superior to anything we make today. But without understanding how it was made or what it was used for, the material remains an anomaly, proof that our knowledge of materials science, chemistry, and manufacturing history is incomplete. Discovery number 9, an ecosystem isolated from the world. Deep underground in a cave system, miners accidentally broke through into a sealed chamber, and scientists discovered something extraordinary, a self-sustaining ecosystem completely cut off from the surface world. The ecosystem had existed in total isolation for thousands of years, and radiocarbon dating of organic material suggests possibly millions of years. No connection to surface water, no access to sunlight, no exchange of air or nutrients with the outside world. Yet inside this sealed environment, life had not just survived, it had evolved. Microorganisms fed on minerals and chemical energy from the rocks themselves. Larger organisms fed on the microorganisms. Complex food webs had developed in perpetual darkness, sustained entirely by chemosynthesis rather than photosynthesis. The organisms discovered in this isolated ecosystem had evolved along a completely different path from surface life. They possessed unique genetic markers not found in any other known species. Their biochemistry operated on different principles. Their evolutionary adaptations were unlike anything in the cataloged biological record. It was, in effect, a separate tree of life that had branched off from Earth's main evolutionary story and continued developing in complete isolation. The discovery proved something scientists had theorized but never confirmed, that entire biospheres can exist beneath our feet, unseen and unknown, following evolutionary pathways completely independent from the world above. It raises profound questions about how many other isolated ecosystems might exist in Earth's deep underground. How much biodiversity remains undiscovered in places humans have never reached? And if life can persist and evolve in such extreme isolation here on Earth, what might exist in the subsurface environments of other planets and moons? Discovery number 10. Unexplained damage in an inaccessible zone. In a remote region rarely visited by humans, accessible only by helicopter or by multi-day mountain climbing expeditions, researchers documented structures showing signs of extreme, sudden force. The structures themselves are ancient, their origins already mysterious. But what happened to them is even more puzzling. The damage is not from erosion. Erosion works gradually over centuries, wearing away exposed surfaces while protected areas remain intact. This damage was selective, directional, and concentrated. It is not from earthquakes. Seismic activity creates predictable patterns of destruction, collapsed walls, displaced foundations, cracking along stress points. This damage does not match those patterns. It is not from volcanic activity. There are no volcanic deposits, no lava flows, no sheesh layers that would indicate eruptions in the region's history. Materials analysis shows exposure to forces that should not exist in this environment. Temperatures beyond what natural fires could produce. Pressure impacts that suggest explosive force, but with no evidence of explosions. Directional damage, as if something swept through the site, devastating specific areas while leaving others untouched. Scientists can describe the aftermath in precise detail. They can measure the forces involved, document the physical evidence, and create computer models showing what must have occurred. But they cannot explain the cause. Natural disasters leave traces, geological evidence, chemical signatures, patterns that match known phenomena. This damage leaves questions. Some researchers have proposed meteor impact, but the trajectory is wrong. Others suggest ancient warfare with unknown weapons, but there is no historical record of conflict in this isolated region. The site remains cordoned off, studied periodically by teams who arrive, document more puzzling details, and leave with more questions than answers. Discovery number 11. The pattern. No one can ignore. The final discovery is not a single object, site, or phenomenon. It is something more subtle and potentially more significant, a pattern emerging across multiple disciplines and discoveries. Across oceans, ice sheets, cave systems, jungles, and underground environments, places humans have barely explored, scientists are finding anomalies that do not fit established explanations. Individually, each discovery is interesting, unusual, perhaps troubling. Considered together, they reveal something more. Materials that should not exist. Structures in impossible locations. Life in environments once thought uninhabitable. Signals from places that should be silent. Evidence of forces and events that do not match any known natural process. The pattern is not obvious. It requires looking at discoveries across oceanography, geology, archaeology, and biology, and recognizing similarities that specialists focused on their individual disciplines might miss. But the pattern is there. Together, these discoveries suggest something much larger than isolated mysteries. They suggest that our understanding of Earth, its history, its geological processes, its biological potential, and its unexplored regions is far more incomplete than we realized. We have explored a fraction of our planet's deep ocean, underground systems, and remote wilderness. Within that tiny fraction, we have found enough anomalies to fill scientific journals with questions. What exists in the vast majority of Earth's environment that remains unexplored? How many more discoveries are waiting in the depths we have not reached, the caves we have not entered, the jungles we have not penetrated? The pattern suggests we are just beginning to understand the planet we live on. Exploration does not always bring answers. Sometimes it reveals how little we actually know. It exposes the limits of our understanding and shows us the vast territories that remain. Mysterious. In the places humans have barely explored, the deep ocean, underground chambers, polar ice, and dense wilderness, the unknown still dominates. Less than 1/1000th of the ocean floor has been visually explored. Countless cave systems remain undiscovered. Vast jungle regions have never seen human presence. Ice sheets hide landscapes frozen for hundreds of thousands of years. These are not exotic alien worlds requiring space travel to reach. These are parts of our own planet here on Earth, unexplored because of technical limitations, funding constraints, environmental hostility, or simple inaccessibility. And within the tiny fraction we have explored, we have found life where it should not exist. Structures that do not fit historical timelines, materials we cannot explain, and phenomena that challenge scientific understanding. The question is not whether more discoveries will come. They will. As technology improves, as exploration continues, as we push further into Earth's remaining wilderness and depths, we will find more anomalies, more mysteries, more evidence that the planet we call home still has secrets to reveal. The real question is whether we are ready for what they might reveal, whether we are prepared to question our assumptions, revise our understanding, and accept that history, geology, and biology may be far more complex than we ever imagined. Because if this is what we have found in the small fraction we have explored, imagine what waits in the vast unknown.